Alright, got a quick one for you guys. It's gonna get a little neurodivergent, and frankly, I'm not gonna say many things that most of us don't know. So if that's not for you, don't feel bad about clicking off. I appreciate your time. Now, the recent discourse around the Fallout TV show has gotten me thinking again about a topic that I've addressed briefly in, I think, a few different videos at this point. I wanted to avoid all the humdrum and schizo posting until after my own review of the show was finished. But now that I've taken a peek, it's given me a reminder of the insane depths people will go to in order to not critically analyze the things they like, and how defensive they can get when others decide to. A little of that came from my own comment section, though it was all pretty mild in my case. One guy called me an incel, another went on a rant about how I'm a piece of shit and I should delete my channel. I'm pretty sure YouTube blocked that comment, but I still got to read it, so that's nice. And a third dude called me comic book guy from The Simpsons, who I think is like an annoying fanboy sort of character. I don't fucking know. What am I, 50? I don't watch The Simpsons. Anyway, what I found so odd is I was getting these comments and more like them, lashing out against minor critiques, on a video that was pretty overwhelmingly positive, where I was explaining that it exceeded my expectations in almost every way. And this is not a new experience, and it's definitely not something that I'm alone in. I just can't, for the life of me, figure out why people get so zealously attached to media, and in more wild cases, will go as far as throwing death threats at the people who don't step in line with them. Well, actually, that's not true at all. I do have something of a theory. We all know how a decent portion of the population is about their politics, right? Here in America, it's the red team that can't stand those damn snowflakes, and the blue team that thinks those intolerant bigots should all die. And it seems relatively clear that the issue with some of these more vocal citizens, outside of a brain abnormality, is a distinct lack of any real sense of self, or more simply, a personality. People latch on to their preferred political party and make it their life because it offers a sense of purpose and a sense of being. And frankly, I think it's the exact same phenomena with games, TV, movies, even fucking books. But it's somehow even more sad to see when it comes to entertainment, because at least a nation's politics actually do matter. I've yet to see breadlines and murder in the streets because a movie didn't get the recognition that fans thought it deserved. And I do think most of us can kind of relate to this experience of identifying with a piece of media a little too intensely, though it was probably a bad habit we had in our childhood. When I was like, 12, a peer of mine called my favorite game, Fallout New Vegas, gay. Now, as a well-adjusted adult, your brain's response to that is, cool, everyone can feel however they want about things. But at the time, I stood up real straight and called him a fat retard in retaliation, and things got legitimately tense for a bit. Just so there's no confusion, I am the bad guy in that story, and I clearly had some character flaws that needed fixing. But the solution for this problem isn't as simple as telling people, hey, don't take things so personally, even though, yes, that's what they need to do, because to some, there's little to no disconnect between the things they like and they themselves. When you're critical of their favorite media, they interpret it as you being critical of them or their intelligence. And if you find yourself feeling attacked over someone's opinion about something trivial like this, and I can acknowledge that there is a sliver of that 12-year-old me somewhere deep inside that perks up when people get smug, it happens, I think there's a couple viable solutions. Step 1, pretty general, become a more well-rounded and confident person. Touch some grass, spend more time with people that are different from you, and learn to actually appreciate that diversity of thought. That's probably not going to happen overnight though, so option 2 is learn to be critical of media and art in a way that goes beyond your immediate emotional reaction. That last part is the key as far as detaching yourself mentally from the media you enjoy. So understand what you're predisposed to liking, what you're predisposed to being indifferent towards, and what you absolutely can't fucking stand. Then be honest with yourself about how that affects your ability to honestly engage with the material. Simple example, I've played like 15 hours of Persona 5. It's generally considered an amazing game in its genre, but I didn't really enjoy it because I don't really care for anime shit, or dating sim shit, or that style of turn-based combat. If I based my opinions off of my immediate reactions or my deeply held biases, I'd probably tell you it's a horrible game. But instead, I can look outside of myself for a moment and tell you about the amazing strengths it has, the well-rounded characters, the soundtrack, the creative imagery, and just admit to myself that it's just not something I'm going to be able to have a well-rounded opinion on, because we don't have to have a strong opinion about everything. Plenty of us struggle with that, but I think a lot more of us have difficulty with the inverse, which is criticizing the art that we love and barely ever notice the flaws in. And that is, in my view, a lot more important. Even outside of the benefits that critical thinking and media literacy have in terms of basic quality of life improvement, critical reception is what dictates the content and quality of future media. We all said Far Cry 3 was a perfect game, nothing to fix here, and look what we got. 50 fucking more Far Cry 3s, except worse. If you absolutely love the Fallout show, to take it back to the top, you think it's a perfect adaptation in your favorite game universe, I am happy that you can feel that way. I'm not out here saying you need to probe for flaws and find a reason to love it less. You do, however, need to be open to other interpretations of art, particularly if you're going to seek them out. Otherwise, I promise you are not getting as much out of it as you think you are. Two observations I made in that last video, for example, were also noticed by some others and have started some online debates. One of them inherently involves a lot of politics and culture war bullshit, so it's cursed no matter what, and probably not a good case study for this topic. But the second observation revolved around a plot point that was either a retcon of another entry in the Fallout series, or it was flawed storytelling. And many of us assumed it was an accidental retcon because the alternative was arguably worse from a writing perspective. And then geeks started arguing, as is known to occur, and if you want the most simple, concentrated examples of this don't ever criticize thing I like phenomena, I encourage you to look up any post where people are discussing Shady Sands. Then Todd Howard himself came out and clarified that the show doesn't retcon anything, and zealous fans rejoiced in their victory and gloated across the public forums, until someone inevitably points out the writing problems that this non-retcon now creates. And this is the stage of the conflict where all civil communications break down. It's nothing but logical fallacies and slurs everywhere you look from that point on. Some people may be a little too eager to dislike the show, and a lot of people too quick to call it perfect. But let me get back to the topic of the video. This happens because not a single one of these devout fans is willing to be realistically critical, and their goal when engaging in the media discussion wasn't to enhance their understanding, it was to win and be better than the other team. But I'm not here to pass judgment on people. I sincerely want them to learn, as silly as it sounds when you have to say it out loud, that media doesn't have to be perfect for them to love it. Absolutely nothing is perfect. Not even that one album or movie that you think is perfect, listener. That has some mid aspects too. Everything does. And I could say something artsy about how it's that human aspect of recognizable flaw that makes it beautiful, but if you're this far into this schizo post, I think you get the idea. When you can be honest about all this, I think that, for one, you gain a more measured understanding of the hard human work that goes into artistic creation and inevitably leads to shortcomings, and you might even appreciate it more. For two, you enhance your understanding of both your own palette and general best practices for media, which will give you a much richer experience exploring art in the future. And for three, like we mentioned earlier, companies are going to sell you what they can get away with. If Bezos has 100,000 people telling him Fallout was perfect, that doesn't give a lot of reason for the team to improve. Alright, I can't tell if this shit went off the rails or we're right where we need to be, but that's pretty much all I've got. I'll talk to you guys later.